Asia.
Okay.
Oh, hello. It's me, Amber Harkins, the one and only. Welcome to the show. It's nice to see you here. Hi.
Hey, what are you doing?
Oh, no, he got me. Oh,
Hey,
no.
Get out of here.
No.
You turd. What are you doing? This is my live stream. You're killing me. You're in so much trouble. What's going on, everybody? Having a little fun with it. So,
Hi.
come on in. This is my daughter, Amber. What's up? Sorry for being late tonight, guys. Streamlabs OBS had a major update, and it took forever. So, my apologies. And then Facebook is being Facebook. We're not streaming on Facebook tonight for some strange reason. And I just realized I don't even have the chat going here right now. So let me get that started for you guys. You guys are probably talking and conversing and everything, and I can't even see what you're saying. But hey, welcome to the Child of Mecha live stream, even though when we have these terrible, terrible technical difficulties, we still try to overcome, still try to give you the best stream possible. So that's my intention tonight. So let's get this started here. Let's get you going. Let's get you started to learn and entertained and all that good stuff. So what were you doing on here?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay. All right. Why don't you go to bed?
No.
You brat. Anyway, she loves YouTube. Yeah, you like to be on. You want to be a little YouTube person or something, don't you? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. She's rocking her Child of Mecha gear, right? Show everybody your shirt. It's pretty cool. Got the little bear, right?
Yes.
All right. Good deal. All right. Did you have fun?
Yes.
All right. Pound it out. All right. Go to bed. No. Take that upstairs. Here, come on. Take that upstairs.
Okay.
Oh, my. Anyway. Everybody, that was my daughter, Amber. So, give it up for her. So, let's see what we've got going on here. We've got Jay Lynch. We got Bailey. We got Cyril Hottie in the chat right now. We got Jim and Boo. Over on... excuse me, over on Twitch. Come on, it's not my night. over on Twitch. We got Juan in the chat. 01 Shield, that would have, yeah, you should have had a matching t-shirt. Yeah, I agree, 01 Shield. That would have been cool, but, you know, she's not going to rock the Child of Mecha. So that would have been a waste of money. So, yeah, so you know what, we're going to pick it up. We're going to do our thing. Even though we're a little late today, Gabriel Macias, welcome. Thank you for watching. Jim and Boo, keeping an eye on the chat and everything for us. Thank you to him. Dude, you know what? Rocking the OG t-shirt tonight, little Child of Mecha. So you can, if you want one of these shirts, man, you can go and get it on the Child of Mecha store on childofmecha.com. A lot of cool stuff over there, a lot of interesting things, hats and shirts and bags and all that cool stuff. So go check that out. If you are on YouTube, check underneath the description. There's an Amazon link there. I've sourced a bunch of different tools and awesome books for you guys, so you don't have to go searching and potentially get the wrong thing, especially when it comes to stuff like this Dymo tape. I see all the time people getting the wrong Dymo tape because this is the old school Dymo tape. This is the embossing stuff. You don't want the new stuff, the heat transfer stuff. That stuff is very thin and you won't get good lines when you try to scribe. So check that out. Amazon down below the description. That'll be on Twitch later. It won't ever be on Facebook because we're not streaming on Facebook tonight for some reason. So that's fun. So another fun thing from our good friend Zuck. Ugh, pisses me off sometimes, but what are you gonna do, right? We got YouTube, we got Twitch. We're getting in our stream on that, so we're good. We're good. Oh look, Kyle. Kyle, man, I'm not gonna try to pronounce your name, brother. But thank you for watching, man. Kyle's a great supporter, and he's awesome. He's over there on YouTube. Got to get me some comm gear. Yes, you do, dude. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's awesome. So, 01 Shield said, just got some high Q parts, 3mm scribing tape today. Sweet. That clear scribing tape. That's legit stuff, guys. That really, really is. And quite frankly, I would have gotten that too if I didn't have like a case of this stuff to use. So I'm going to burn through this first. I've got a good number of rolls to get through on here before I can really get to the good stuff. So, but hey, a new addition besides Amber on the stream tonight, and that's this little guy right here. That's this little guy. Or my new little light board. So that's going to be a regular part of the show. I'm going to put some messages on that for you guys. Obviously, donate to Gunpla Talk fundraiser. That's the big one right now. And if you guys aren't familiar, you can win this bad boy right here. Can't even get my damn head in the camera. This guy right here. You can win this particular model right here. You can get that. You can win that if you donate. And it doesn't matter how much you donate. You can donate $1 and you're still entered to win. You could donate $50 like a lot of people have. You get a chance to win. So go and donate to that. That's a really good fundraiser. It's for the National Alopecia Areata Foundation. Great charity. They do a lot for people suffering from alopecia, and it's just good all the way around. Makes you feel good. You did a good deed for the day, so you can kind of pat yourself on the back, right? So, and if you win the perfect grade, it was worth it, right? So go in and donate to a good cause. Get yourself entered in that. I think we'll probably be adding some prizes because this is only like the second or third day of this thing, and we're almost 10% to our goal, which honestly is kind of surprising for me. We've had good good feedback. So I think there might be some more prizes thrown in very soon. So keep an eye out for that. If you've donated already, we'll obviously add updates to the campaign. But if you haven't yet, and if you're just kind of biding your time, maybe waiting for that next paycheck or something, who knows? Then just keep an eye on, all of our social media feeds. Obviously, the Facebook page for Gunpla Talk is going to be the best resource for updates with that and everything. So keep an eye on that. That'll start to pick up. Guaranteed. All right, so guys, what we're going to do, like every night, I'm going to do a bit of show and tell for you guys, and then we're going to jump into some modeling. I want to show you some things that I did to the leg. I did a couple things to the leg on the day off. It's Wednesday, man. It's hump day. Hump day, right? So I hope you guys had a great start of your week. Mine has been super busy. Conference calls. Hopefully not many of you have to worry about conference calls, or meetings, because they're boring as shit. So I've had, 3 this week already? And I've got another one tomorrow morning. Fun times. So let's switch over to the 2 camera, shall we? Let's show you what I've got tonight. There we go. So this is nothing but Mech Week, guys. 3 streams this week. 3 nothing but Mech books. The 4th one is not out yet, so whenever I get that, we'll circle back to that. But this is Nothing But Mech 2. Now, Nothing But Mech 1 was pretty good, right? This one's better. This one's actually better. This one is kind of where Nothing But Mech really kind of started to come into its own, in my opinion anyways. There's less of the kind of fantastical, kind of creative art that Nothing But Mech 1 had, and there's more kind of technical stuff in this one, which I'm a big fan of. Hopefully you guys are too. So let's take a quick look-see at this, and then we'll move along. I'll show you what I did with the leg. We'll do some other cool stuff tonight. Maybe even start on that arm like I was hoping to, but we'll see, right? So let's get it going. So here's the cover. Really cool stuff on the cover. Back cover is very interesting. Got this little flying ship mech thing. All your artists here, and there's a bunch of good ones. Kind of the usual suspects of artists that put into this. You got your names like Ian McHugh, you got Fausto DiMartini in there, Elliot Lilly. You've got just a lot of great artists in this particular book. So let's just thumb through this here real quick. I'll show you some of my favorite pictures. There's the inside cover by one of my favorite artists, Jake Parker. He's really good at just kind of almost comical type of art. Really, really good stuff. NCO74 asks, what do you know about the Ragolino method? Nothing. I don't know what that is. Please explain. I don't know what that is. Sorry. Thanks for watching, though. Yeah. So, all right. Continuing on. Some cool inside cover mech there. Pretty neat stuff. I like this here. This is really cool. Very mechanical. Obviously shows you the lines that this particular artist kind of referenced and everything. Kind of like a unicycle, big monster truck tire unicycle deal down here. Very cool stuff. Very, very cool. And, oh yes, Aaron Beck. You guys will definitely recognize some of Aaron Beck's work. There's his name. He's done some amazing stuff. So definitely check him out. He does kind of the Neo Tokyo pieces of art, with the mechanized police droids and all that. Really super awesome stuff. Alex Yeager with these racing spider droids and stuff here. Pretty cool. Some more of those there. Kind of a really intense looking battle droid or whatever. So pretty cool stuff. Flying mechs. And you got your somewhat Akira, I guess, looking. I don't know. It's kind of a cross between Akira and the Dark Knight graphic novel. You know what I'm talking about? With the visor dudes, those guys. This is pretty cool. So this cop mech pulled this chick over, and he's got this false face here, but he had to flip that up to see what he was doing to write the ticket. That's pretty wild, right? I mean, it's got, look at it, it's got the musculature, mechanized musculature. He's got the mechanized hands, all that. That's really great detail. Super useful when it comes to reference, using this into your own projects and things. Again, really, really cool. Silver Maverick, Mr. Ricardo is on. Thank you for joining us, sir. Slice and Dice. Yeah. I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, it's a Photoshop, but it's still pretty damn cool, right? Let's quickly go through this. This is pretty neat. Some Russian battle droids from what it looks like. Oh, yeah, this is cool. This is by Kali Wirtz. Kind of a mech highlight game. I don't know if you guys are familiar with highlight, but it's very big down in Miami. I have no idea what the game involves. All I know is they throw a ball at a wall with these kind of hooked, scoop things, and that ball goes flying like 100 miles an hour. Like I wouldn't want to get hit by that thing. And that ball's like super solid too, like solid rubber, right? Here's some more with these little highlight scoops and stuff like that. Pretty cool. Interesting stuff. So here's very technical looking kind of mechs and stuff. This is by Darren Bartley. This one, it's got tank treads on the bottom here, and it's got all these compartments and everything. Super cool. But it's also got kind of feet and legs and stuff like that. And then you've got some more, bipedal droids here. And this is, I mean, just looking at that, there's a little Gatling there. So I'd imagine that this is a very large type of mech. Very neat. That's an interesting looking humanoid mech there. Interesting service droid, I guess, right? So you got your, your kind of Ed 209 kind of look to it. Pretty cool. And yeah, so here we go. Fausto Di Martini, very, 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 very good artist. When it comes to mechanics, man, this dude, top notch, just top notch, man, from the beginning, backwards and forwards, you name it. This guy can render mechanics like nobody's business. I mean, just whew, yeah. Look at this. You got your big battle mech. You got your humanoid kind of mech here and everything. And the cool thing, and a lot of people take like the IBO inner frames, and they just kind of slap some armor on top, and they make it look like some of these like humanoid mechs from some of these concept artists, which is just damn cool. Really, really neat stuff. There's a really cool. There we go. Bring him into camera view. That's pretty neat, right? So, good stuff. Pat Labor looking mech there. Some wild looking thing. But then you got it. This is really cool too. You kind of got almost like it's kind of like pop art. Just, really stylized, hard lines. Obviously, no shadowing or depth or anything like that, but just very, very, man, just really cool. Really cool graphic design on these. So, that's Robbie the Robot deal. Different things there. This is really cool. That's wild. mechanics in this is the mechanics in this droid are just off the hook. Really, really awesome. Got this massive 50 cal up here, wild, and even just some detail shots. I mean, look at this, the ammo chain, the feeding chain that goes from the drum into the cannon. Wild stuff. There's another shot of it. That's, man, super cool. Super cool stuff. Ian McHugh obviously is going to be in this book. He was just there. Got some, kind of fantasy stuff. Pretty interesting things there. Somewhat biomechanical looking there. Very kind of Bayformer. I don't know. Maybe. You got some comic looking things. So yeah, I really like this book. Lauren Wood. Lauren Wood is another great artist to follow. I follow him actually on Instagram. Really good. Wow, good stuff here. Just flipping through real quick just to give you guys a taste of what this book looks like. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. These are cool. Look at these things. This one especially, that's wild. And you have your artist profiles and everything like that in the back, and you got your back cover. So, all right, guys. Quick and simple. Nothing But Mech 2. Go pick it up. Pretty cool. Pretty damn cool book. I love these Nothing But Mech books. You can just spend hours looking at these things and just kind of really lose all track of time and everything. So, alrighty then. So, let's show you what I did with the leg last night on the off night here. So let's get you zoomed in because we need to see some detail here. Boop, there we go. All right, so let's get focal point set up. All right, so there, look at that. That's actually a perfect look at the two vents that I scribed in. So these little vents here, those, if you remember, I scribed this one in on Monday night, and then yesterday I mirrored it on this side and then added just kind of a little half round detail, just kind of reinforcement, kind of a look to that. So I really like the way that these have turned out. Nice and clean. Those will paint up beautifully. The inside of these little armored vents will be painted obviously a different color, a highlight color, and man, that'll just pop out, and that'll just really give your eye something to catch on to. Really, really a good look there. But the part that I did really kind of focus on yesterday was the knee. If you remember, we installed this this 4mm wide by 0.5 millimeter thick, excuse me, this strapping detail over the top corner of the knee. I didn't want to leave it there, and I didn't want to necessarily, scribe into it or anything like that. I did want it to be a little bit more protruded. So what I did was I added a 1mm, and see, you can kind of tell it's got some height to it, some girth. So that's just strapping over what the existing strap was. So just kind of an overlay. And what I figure is I'm not going to bevel these sides. I want to keep these corners nice and sharp. And but I did bevel just the front. Let's see, just that front bit right here. So I beveled this down kind of this way. So it gives a good look, I think. And it will be kind of visually, it will visually break up this monotonous part of the knee here because there's nothing on the sides. There might be some decals on the side when I go to paint this thing, but overall, just on the front here, it breaks the monotony of that just wide open space of that knee, along with the other details that we've added here. This panel line here with the notch, these two notches here on the side, and then of course the little vent or thruster, whatever we want to think that it is. That looks really, really good there. And then if you look, this here, as you can see, the detail that we added to the ankles just kind of peeking out from there, and it just gives us such a good look, you know. And then there's the front, and that's just gonna, man, that's gonna really, really look good once it's painted, panel lined, all that good stuff. It'll pop out even more because it'll be different color. So overall, super happy with this thing. I think there's only realistically one step I have to go with this, and I'll probably do that off camera. I don't think I'll do that on here with you guys, just because it's monotonous and boring. So what I did on this side, let's see if you guys can see it. Focus, camera, come on now. Okay, so there you can see the notches right here and right there. So that's these notches are 2 millimeters in from each corner. And I did this all the way around. So each each side on here has 2 notches that are 2 millimeters away from said corner. So there is, let's see, 1 notch here. Can you see it? There's the light. Okay. So 1 notch here, 1 notch here. You know, there's a couple up here, couple on this side, couple on this side, and then obviously it goes down into this piece down here, and yep, see, so you can see it all along the edge here, just these notches, and those are just panels, just panel latches. That's what it simulates. And then down on the bottom, I've got just this 1 notch there. So I'm going to obviously mirror that on this side, but you guys don't want to see that. That's boring stuff. So we've covered notches and stuff like that before, so we're going to put that off to the side. But I do need to work on the rest of this ankle, and that's going to take pretty quickly. But I don't think I'm gonna do that either. Now that I kind of think about it. Oh, you know what? Actually, another thing that I did here, which was somewhat subtle at this point. So you can see these round, you know, kind of minus mold type of details here on the knee. I actually took and scribed a line. Oh, there we go. Get it on camera. So a line around around the circumference of that. So let me show you real quick how I did that, because a lot of people have issues with that because I didn't use tape. Tape would not work in this particular set of circumstances. So what you need to do is you need to build a jig. And I think we've covered this before, but there's my scribing jig. So all that happens is there is a 1.5 millimeter plastic sheet here, and it's glued down to another 1.5 millimeter plastic sheet, but that can be anything. And this fits perfectly in there with just a little bit of wiggle room, nothing crazy. So there's that. So that's really good. So now, what you do, you take your 0.15, right? And you just hold this down to the surface, and you let your, there we go, you let your chisel just ride along that top edge, and it chisels a line perfectly around that piece. So that's all I did. Very, very simple stuff. Anybody can do that. And it gives a nice, even, consistent height line across the entire piece. And you can duplicate all 4 minus molds that way. And then what I felt I did, I just feeling squirrely here, I just kind of went back in and beveled this kind of bottom edge. So I just went here and I let the tip of my hobby knife just kind of ride in that scribe line and beveled that bottom part, which I think looks pretty nice. I'll probably go back, do a little bit more to it, maybe make some notches in it to make it a little bit more mechanical looking, and yeah, I think it'll be cool. So Bailey wants to know, how did you carve the hole in the styrene? Drill bits. I just drilled a hole. Yeah, that's all. So what I did was I started out with a much larger piece of styrene, right? And it's just scrap, you know. So just like a piece like this, and this is 1.5, and so I drilled a hole in this. Just got some bigger drills. Obviously, these are just kind of cheap Black & Decker ones, so you can get these at the hardware store for, $5-10 for all these. And I would definitely not use these for detail work, because these are just jobber, just super cheap drill bits, not the greatest quality. But they get the job done for, your hardware uses and, drilling into wood and stuff like that, But for precision, don't use these. These are, no, these won't get the job done. But just drill a hole in this. I found one that was roughly the same size. Like I said, there's a little room around it. So just drilled the hole into that first. Cut that piece out, glued it on top of another piece, cut that piece out, and then just kind of trimmed it back to a comfortable type of holding position. So, no sharp corners to, stress the tips of your fingers or anything like that. Nice and round is what I kind of prefer, but you don't really need to do that. And like I said, this is all consistently the same height around the top surface. So it's the perfect way to scribe kind of that on a circular detail like that on the round perimeter. So because tape's just not going to stick, because there's very little surface area for it to adhere to, and then it'll have a tendency to pull away. And if you hold it, especially with something like this size, it's just going to migrate on you. It's going to move regardless of what you do. No matter how careful you are, it's going to move. So something like this is just kind of the perfect way to do something like that. So make a jig, guys. I've made tons of jigs. Like, I did all sorts of tutorials on it on my website. Here's like some of the scribing jigs that I've made, and I keep them, just all sorts of. There's another round one that I did for the GM Spartan. One of the big ones that I did was this guy right here. This was a serious jig, because I needed an exact 68 degrees, a 68 degree angle, right? And now if you notice, let's get you zoomed in here so I can explain this one, because this one's kind of cool. So let's get you zoomed into 70, because that'll give you enough room to see what I'm talking about. We'll move these out of the way because these aren't going to matter too much. But this is a perfect 68 degree angle right here, right? And obviously there's a notch here. So what I did was that notch, see that perfectly fits that sanding block right there. Perfect, right? So the reason why I made this was when I went to scratch build the Blue Destiny shield, the angle of the outside parts of the shield needed to be at a perfect 68 degree angle. That's what the original angle is for the stock shield. So put this in here as a base. This is obviously, sandpaper, so it's not going to shift or move. And then I use this kind of as a gluing jig too. I put, you put your styrene, piece on top of here, and then your corresponding one underneath of it. And what I did was I used magnets, and put a couple magnets on this surface, but then on the inside surface, I just put a couple of corresponding magnets on there. That held held the angled piece in place, and yeah, so that gave me a perfect 68 degree angle every single time. So sometimes you do need to build. Sometimes you need to build something a little bit more serious than, say your little two-part jig here out of a piece of strip. Sometimes you need to go heavy duty with something like that. This is also a good one. That there So obviously it's an oval, right? But this is the shape of a tube cut at a 45-degree angle. So if you think about a tube cut at a cross section at a 45-degree angle, this oval is going to be the shape of that cut on a surface, on a flat surface. So what I needed to do was I needed to scribe around it to make it look like a separated panel. So I used this, and that worked out perfectly. So yeah, guys, make jigs. It'll make your life so much easier when it comes to scribing, scratch building, gluing, all that stuff, sanding, all of it, just everything. Really, really useful, and you can reuse them, right? You can reuse them whenever your little heart desires. You can even make things like cutting jigs, right? So here's just a 45-degree angle cutting jig there. So what I would do is put a piece of styrene in this. So say you don't have a chopper, right? Something like this would be perfect. Then you can just kind of take your hobby knife, and I scribed a line right here to match the angle of this this cut strip here. So now I can just lay my hobby knife in there, rest the tip of it up against that plastic sheet, and then make that cut. And then there you go. You got a sweet 45-degree angle. And I did it, with a 60-degree angle. You can do it with whatever angle you want. So those are just some ideas that you can use to make yourself some very handy jigs. So really good stuff. Oh, look at that, Bailey. It says the chopper's getting delivered tomorrow. Nice. You're gonna love it, dude. I love it. It's like I keep saying, it has changed the way that I build. I can just do so much with it. So good call. You're gonna love it. You are gonna really, 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 really like it. That's awesome. All right, so let's get this puppy started here. Let's take a look. We're gonna start on the arm because I am itching to do just that. So we're gonna get both of the arms out here because they are different styles. Especially the back side of the arms. Focus, camera. Please focus. Damn it. There we go. So yeah. So these are very different looks. You've got the clip rack here. You've got the beam saber rack there. This one is more square on top. This one is more kind of trapezoidal at top. And even the side profiles are a bit different as well. You've got more blocky kind of shapes on this side here. Down in this area, you've got some separated panel detail here. But then you've got some weird beveled looking parts on this side as well. Now, on the front side, they're completely identical. You can't tell which is which at this point. Just not. But on the sides and on the back, obviously, they're going to be much, much different. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to work on the beam saber one because I'm not going to do too much, I don't think, to the back or top elbow here. And if I do, I can do that later. So it's not a big deal. So we're going to put this one off to the side. We're going to work on this one because I think we can get a lot of more detail packed into this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off his hand because I do not want to damage that because if you've not dealt with the Jesta hands or the articulated finger hands from recent Bandai kits, they are a little fragile, just a little bit, not crazy fragile, but they can come loose and all that good stuff. So we're just gonna play it safe, take that out, put that off to the side, and we're gonna look good there. So let's see what we've got here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off this shoulder connection. There we go. So that's gonna go off to the side there. We're going to take off the bicep armor. Come on, you. There we go. Just slides off. So we're going to take that off first. We're going to work on that here in a minute. We've got some cool little minus mold details similar to what we have on the leg. Very similar design in both of those. Ricardo, why do you think those hands are the worst? They're not bad. They're just not, I just don't think they're good. I don't know. You just got to be careful with them, I think, you know? But, if I had a preference, I would prefer fixed posed hands every day of the week, you know? The hands that I really like are the GM Sniper 2 hands, 2.0 and fixed hands forever. Yeah. I'll agree with that. Yeah, definitely. Anything's better than the 3-in-1 hands. You know, these three fingers, and then you got your trigger finger and your thumb, and it just, yeah, those are bad. Those are old school. So I make sure I replace those with Kodo hands all day. All right. So we're gonna put these little bits off to the side because we don't want to lose these, right? These are crucial pieces. We are going to keep this guy out here, this upper arm armor, and that just kind of sleeves on, if you will, just slides on. We're going to take out the beam saber because we're not going to work on that just yet, but we don't want to lose that. We're going to put that off to the side. So we've got some additional parts here that we need to take apart. So, whoa, careful there. So we're going to take off the cuff, and we're going to take off the this piece here, which basically covers the poly cap and everything there. Take that off, and then we'll take off the side pieces. Got to be careful with this because there are some thinner parts here, especially these side pieces, because these are thin on the sides there. We're going to take this side off. Just like that. All right, cool. So you got your two sides, got your kind of armor detail piece there. You've got your cuff. Now you've got just the inner frame of the arm with some of the connection pieces, and you've got this top piece of armor, and that just slides on and it just pops off real easy. It's real simple. So there are pretty much the main components of never on camera correctly, am I? There you got your main parts for this arm piece. So somewhat simplistic. It's a little simpler than the leg panels, obviously. What's Ricardo say? Ball joint always gets stuck in the arm. Yeah, I know what you mean. There it is right there. So I'm not gonna worry about it. At least I know where it is. Silver lining, I guess. So I can just pop the hand back in there. I don't think it's a huge deal right now. And then when I go to assemble it, I might glue it in. And then once the glue is set and dry in there, just yank the whole thing out. And that should hopefully work. We'll see, right? So, okay. So we're going to put the inner frame portion of this. We're going to put this off to the side because there's not a ton that is going to be seen. Let me try to get this one piece off here. Let's get the old skewer out. Let's try to jimmy this little piece off. There we go. Now we got it. All right, cool. So there's all of our armor pieces, right? All the pieces that we need to work with. Excuse me, guys. So what I think I'm going to do first, let's see. I think we're going to work on this little guy right here. Actually, both these little guys. I think those are going to be our focuses for right now. Because I like to start with the upper arm sleeve. It's got some It's got some okay detail to start with. Let's get you zoomed in here so you can actually see that. Let's see if you can catch the light. There it is. Okay. So it's got molded in detail already right there. It's kind of got a little gap, a little notch already in there, and then just a vertical panel line there. And that's mirrored on both sides, the left and the right of the arm. But then if you look at the front and you look at the back, it's just bare. There's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. Squat. So we need to change that. So what I like to do is just basically put in some box-looking panel lines. So that's what we're going to do right now. Ruler. That's what we need first. We need the ruler first. And here it is. All right, cool. So let's measure, first and foremost, what I like to do is measure the gap on the sides, because I like to try to match that up. So if the measurement is correct, we're looking at 8 millimeters on this, from side to side here. And let's focus in. So what I'm going to do is measure from the inside of this part here to the inside of this part here. So that gap. That gap is 8 millimeters wide, so we need to cut a piece of 8 millimeter Dymo tape. Bailey says get some access panels on the top of those biceps. Yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be doing. I'll show you here in a minute. But first, before we do anything, got to put our eyes on. Got to put our eyes on, guys. Good to go. All right. I think I have had a piece of Dymo tape over there, but I do not anymore. So we're going to cut some new stuff. So let's put our armor pieces off to the side here. We're going to put our upper sleeve there, move some things around, do some organization, and we're going to pull in the chopper. Zoom you out. Oop, there we go. And okay, so we need to measure an 8 millimeter piece of Dymo tape. Alright, so we need to line it up. That looks good. Get your stop block into position, right up against that L square here. And there we go. Now we've got an 8 millimeter gap, so we can lay our Dymo tape down here and push that up right up against the stop block, cut, and there we go. Let's measure this up now and see if our measurement is good or not. It's a little wide. I think it needs to be a little bit thinner. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to push this stop block over just a hair, not too much, right? Look at that, Runeblades 265. Mr. Timmy Gian is in the house. What's going on, brother? Thank you for watching over there on Twitch. All right, so I think we just pushed that over just a little bit, maybe half a millimeter at most. There you go. Gunpla Fixation is in the YouTube chat, and he's got a good link for you guys. There we go. Cut that off. He's got a link to our fundraiser, that Gunpla Talk fundraiser that we touched on a little bit earlier. Now, that is perfect. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make, we're going to apply the tape on here. I'm just letting it sit on here right now, just to basically dry fit, essentially. But we're going to put this on here. We're going to apply that here in just a moment. So we're going to put that off to the side. Wipe the brow because it's a little warm in here, especially with these freaking lights and this thing. This thing will make you sweat, guys. But it's still worth it. Still totally worth it. Whew, okay, so let's get this tape backing removed from this guy. There we go. All right, rock and roll. All right, let's get Get the tweezers in here, grab that tape, throw that away, and visor down. Let's see what we've got here. Center that up nice and evenly on all four sides. Make sure there's even space all around. That looks pretty good. We could push that up just a little bit. Let's peel that off. You don't want to necessarily try to peel off Dymo tape once you have it down, because sometimes it can bend and curl and stuff like that, but it's not the end of the world if you do. So don't sweat it, don't worry about it, not a big deal. It'll still stick. Sometimes you just have to, you know, rearrange it once it's actually down, because you notice something that you didn't notice before. All right, that is almost to where we want it. I think that's a winner. Let's check it there. Yeah, all right, so this looks to be nice and centered. That's just under the line of 1 millimeter. That's just under the line of 1 millimeter. Good there. Good there. Sweet. All right, so this is perfectly centered. Let's get you zoomed in so you can see the process. All right, so there is the piece with the Dymo tape applied to it. Very simple. And let's get our 0.15 chisel out there. And we're going to just drop some lines in on this. Start our box shape. Nice smooth passes. Like I always say, if this is your first time watching, you let the chisel do the work on the first few passes. Hardly any pressure at all. Nice, smooth, even strokes. If it's chirping or skipping at you, that panel line is not going to be flat. So keep that in mind. And this one's doing really good for us. This you can tell when the plastic is nice and smooth and a constant density, because that's essentially what you're running into. If you're getting chirping or skipping or anything, you're running into potential differences in the density of the plastic, just because of the molding process. You know, where the plastic comes together, the molten plastic inside of the mold, and you can see kind of some swirlies on you know, a bare piece of plastic. There could be differences in density, you know, between that. So you run into it. Usually Bandai plastic is very, very consistent, I find. It's very, very rare that I find, you know, really tough spots or really soft spots in a piece of Bandai plastic, at least modern plastic. Their formula and molding process is almost flawless in terms of that. So I wouldn't you know, be too concerned, especially when you're scribing Bandai plastic. But when you get to, you know, maybe some of the other brands, you know, Kotobukiya, you know, Wave makes some models, Tamiya models, especially like their military line and things like that. It can sometimes get questionable. Another one that is the one brand that I find kind of very lacking consistency is our models by Plum. Probably most of you haven't even heard of them, but they make sci-fi models and things like that. You know, they made the Arc Cloud Breaker. They've also made the Power Dolls, the ones with the big, thick legs. Those are really cool looking, and I actually have both of those models, but the plastic is just like doo-doo. Molding's not that great either, but, you know, you work with it and you fix it. You make it look good. You know, that's what modeling is, right? So, all right, let's finish our scribes on this, and we'll get to work bringing these lines down to that gap, making it a really overall cohesive look. All right, so that's looking good there. We're going to pull this tape off. We're going to transfer it down a little bit, down to the lower surface. Let me focus. So obviously it just fit on this surface here, but we have this kind of beveled surface right here that we need to bring the tape down on. So we're going to do that next. All right, so we're going to gingerly, very, very gently peel this back because we don't want any of the sticky adhesive staying on the piece, because that has happened to me before with this stuff. Rarely, but it has happened. And so there you can kind of, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Okay, so there you can kind of see, get my hand out of the way, the start of that. And that's basically, you know, like Bailey said, it basically starts to be an access panel. Because if you look at the inner frame, the actual arm, there's not too much detail on the Jesta, granted. But you think on other mechs and things like that, and you know, if you reference some of the concept art that we saw in Nothing But Mech earlier, you know, there's going to be pistons, gears, maybe some hydraulics, you know, drivers, things of that nature inside of that arm to make it move, to make it work and function. So mechanics need to get in there, then they need to service this thing. It's not like they put the armor on and then they just forget about it. It's very similar to a car. You know, you need to get into it and you need to be able to service it. So adding access panels not only enhances the look and the aesthetic appeal, but it also enhances the realism and the illusion of scale. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do as modelers, is we are trying to imitate that illusion of scale. And if you can do that, then your models are probably going to look pretty damn good. All right, so we just lined this tape up here on this piece. Focus camera. Got to talk to it. Not listening. Boop, there we go. So we just kind of lined it up on that piece. Obviously, it's just hanging off. It's just kind of sitting there having a good time. And I'm just bringing these lines down and matching them up with the gap, you know, that's molded in there already, the natural opening for the lower arm assembly. I'll show you what I mean here momentarily. All right, so let's peel that off. We're going to throw that away because we don't need that piece. That piece is pretty much dead anyways at this point. That's not going to stick very well. Let me just clean this up here for you guys, and I'll show you the beginning of this box panel. And I want to do something a little bit different than normal on this one. I want to kind of replicate some of the details on the upper leg that I scribed in, and I'll show you what I mean here in a moment. All right. Okay, so that looks pretty good there. Let's bring it up closer to the camera so hopefully you guys can see that. All right, so let's catch the light. Come on, light. All right, so you can see the panel lines on both corresponding sides, and that's probably in maybe like a 0.5 millimeter. So it's very, very close to the outer bevel, right? So, and then we bring those lines down and we match that up to this natural gap and corner right here. So what we're going to do next to really kind of make that look like it's normal and like it's always been there is shave off just a little bit, because that inside gap was a little rounded. So we're going to make that straight now. We're just going to start to shave off just a little bit, just to make it nice and square. And that will help to convey the illusion that these are separate panels, because they're going to essentially now meet at a 90-degree angle. Okay. Nice. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to leave that piece right here. Now, I am going to switch the types of camera view that we normally are accustomed to. You are going to see in just a second a box pop up. Boop, there it is. All right, so let's get that centered on the box, right? Okay, so watch this. I just learned this cool little thing here. Beep. Look at that. Look at that zoom. That's a monster zoom, right? I just learned that today on the Canon software here. Look at that. So now you can see super up close, super detailed, like almost like frickin' macro. Obviously, it's a digital zoom, but yeah, I mean, look at that. That's pretty wild, and you can see this, you can see just the shake in just my hand just hitting the surface. It's that zoomed in, right? There. Okay. So Jesus, that's 0.15 millimeter. That little chisel right here. That little guy right there. That's my bamboo stick. So yeah, that's crazy, right? So as you can see, we brought these two lines down, and let me see. Be very, very careful here. Shit, you can see my fingerprints. You can see how I shaved off the corner ever so slightly right here and right in here. So now it meets up at a 90-degree angle there. So very clean, very simple, and it looks crispy. So let's get back to our normal camera view here, and we'll go boop. Oh, what did it do? Nope, it's not wanting to do that. We need to zoom out, and then we need to switch back to that. And we need to turn that little box off there. All right, so cool. So now what we're gonna do, I'm not gonna worry about the backside just yet, because that's gonna be a different task. Let's see. It looks like Berkana is in the building. Mr. Ace Schultz, Kenneth Sim, welcome. Just like the panels on the RX-78 3.0. Yeah, kind of. That's what we're kind of attempting to emulate. That's, this is kind of a common procedure for me in terms of the current models. That's what I like to do. And the cool thing about the GM Sniper 2, right? So that, you know what? Let's go back to that camera, the zoom thingy, because that was pretty cool. You guys could see super detail. Boop. Okay, so we're gonna move this out of the way here. Get out of the way. So this is the upper arm for the GM Sniper 2, right? Let's try to get that zoom. Let's get that focused. It's not going to want to focus on me here because it's focusing on the mat. But so these are natural. This is just naturally raised. These are molded in, right? This surface, geez, this surface right here is recessed, and you can see just that little lip, that reveal, as someone said yesterday, is raised right along here. So that actually, basically it gives you a natural guide to scribe some lines in there. And then what I figure I'll do when I start working on this again is I'll put some lines across horizontally, maybe some notches, things like that. So that's actually a really nice direction that I think Bandai might be going to. So I really dig that, and I'd like to see more of that, Bandai, if you are listening. Probably not, but always in the long shot. You never know. So let's get back out to 1x, digital zoom, get back to that, and boom, there we go. Okay, so back to what we were doing. Okay, so we need a little bit more Dymo tape, but this time we're going to use some scrap. We're going to find a nice little piece in here. What are we going to do? We're going to find, I think this is 2mm wide, just that little piece right there I think looks good. Let's measure this before we get to scribing here. Yeah, let's see, that's 2.5. That's a little too thick for me, so I'm going to cut a new piece. I'm just going to bite the bullet here. Ooh, actually, wait a minute. What's this right here? That might be the same. No, that's the same size. Okay. So I'm just going to cut a new piece, and we're going to go with that. So let me show you what I do, because I'm going to cut a strip rather than just a block of plastic or a block of tape. So pull out, a little bit of tape, and then with your scissors, you're just going to cut that piece off. I'm going to put that Dymo off to the side. So now you got a piece. Obviously they're not squared ends or anything like that, but that's fine. We're not worried about that. But we do need to employ proper chisel discipline. Very important, very crucial for everyone out there. So we're going to pull the chopper back down. We're going to get him ready. We're going to loosen up our stop block. And now what we're going to do is grab a 2mm piece of strip. And I thought I had a piece sitting here just a moment ago, but obviously not. That happens, right? But I've got a piece right here. So we're just going to clip a little piece off, and we're going to use this as a guide. We're going to put that right in there next to the blade as close as we can get. We're going to shove the stop block right up against that. Now that's going to be a nice 2mm gap that we're going to cut this strip with. So pull that out, set that off to the side, because that's not trash. You can use that later for something, or you can use it as a guide again if you need a 2mm piece, right? So we're going to clean out the debris from the blade here, because that's kind of gotten gunked up over the past couple of days. So we're just going to clean off that debris. Tape, little strips of tape build up, little pieces of plastic build up. Be very, very careful when grabbing little particles from the blade, because you can cut yourself, because that shit is razor sharp. So you don't want to do that. So we're going to butt up our piece right up against the stop block, slam that cutter down, and now we should have a nice 2mm piece of tape here. Let's measure just to see what it looks like. And 2mm on the money. Primo. All right. So we don't need this entire piece, right? But what we can do is we can always save the rest for later. So I'm going to line up kind of what we need here. And I'm going to cut off a little bit of a larger piece than we need. So wipe the brow a little bit, because it is warm in here, guys. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to put that scrap off to the side, and let's get to going here. We're going to remove the backing film from this Dymo tape, and we're going to get our little tweezers, grab that tape, peel the backing off that. Now we need to figure out where this is going to go. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put the top edge of this right up at the top bevel. That's always a good look, I think, coming down and having just a little access panel from the top. I always think is a nice little aesthetic, and it's just kind of one of the things that I do. So we'll get you zoomed in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, let's get you zoomed in all the way. Screw it. So there is that piece of Dymo tape. It's going to be butted up right up against this top bevel on this arm. There's a slight bevel right up at the top edges of this arm. So we just butt that up to that bevel line. Let's see, who's in the chat, man? Everybody's kind of quiet tonight. I don't know why. Kenneth Sim is in there. Afternoon, guys. Afternoon, Kenneth. Thank you for watching, buddy. Is anyone else excited about the new heavy arms of the Real Great Sazabi? No. No, I'm not. Not at all. I just, it's just me. I don't know. I don't like real grades. I don't like anything really 144. It's just not my scale. I'm not feeling it. I personally like, master grades and 1/100 scale. If I was to get a high grade or a 144 scale in anything, it's probably going to go into the kit bash fodder or scrap bin or something like that. Something that it's going to be used in another project. But for those of you that do like real grades, it does look like a pretty kick-ass little model, I have to admit. And the size of the box is impressive. That alone is a bit of bragging rights, you know? All right. So we're just going to pull that line horizontally across that piece. And again, let your chisel do the work. Let's see. Runeblade says, I like the shoulders on the real grade Sasabi. Yeah, they're kind of interesting. I don't mind them. You know, I'm particular to the Verka, but that's just me. Let's see. Jay Lynch, the new heavy arms. Yeah, it's Supernova. Yeah, Ace Schultz, Berkana says Supernova makes some awesome stuff. Yeah, but I'm just not a big fan of heavy arms. I'm just, you know, I'm just not really, you know, just the whole wing line. I'm just, you know, I grew up on it, obviously. That's how I got into Gundam, as many people did. And it's just, you know, I left it behind, you know. I don't know if I want to say I outgrew it, but it's just not my thing anymore, you know. Bailey says it's a third-party kit from Supernova. Supernova looks to be hyper detail above the master grade, like their Sandrock. Yeah, they made what, a Sandrock, and they made like an Altron, I think, right? Guys, am I right or am I wrong? I don't know. I could be wrong. So anyway, we went in one direction with this panel line. We're going to go back just a couple passes in the opposite direction just to make sure the scribe is nice and neat, consistent, looks good. So we need to peel this piece of tape off of here. And so now you've got the start of a cute little box scribe. Let's get that little zoom box going here. Pull that over just to fit in that little box. There we go. There we go. And then bang, 0.5 or 5 times. Look at that. See, there you go. So that's what you know, what we're starting off with, right? Just a nice, simple looking box panel. You know, hard edges, hard corners, very mechanical looking, you know. That's exactly what we're going with. It's simple, and yeah, it looks pretty kick-ass when it's all together. I mean, your eye's not going to initially, sorry for banging the table again. Oh, cool, okay, yeah. So Berkana just posted the link to it over on Twitch for those of you guys on YouTube, or maybe watching this, you know, taped or whatnot. So, what GundamModelCenter.com looks to be the URL. So, GundamModelCenter.com. For those of you watching on YouTube or obviously watching after, Berkana put that into the Twitch chat. So if you're interested, go hop on over at Twitch, click that link, and then you can see the Supernova heavy arms. So there you go. Good call. Thank you for that link. Silver Magic, Mr. Ricardo says, not a fan of the hyper detail kits. Makes me feel lazy. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, and I think I probably, you know, are in the same kind of train of thought, honestly, because I like to do it myself. Obviously. I like to put in my own details and come up with my own design and make something unique and basically make it my own, right? So, while I absolutely respect the quality and the artistry of the model makers. You know, the Mechanicors, your Supernovas, and, you know, and places like that. I just rather do it myself. That's just me. Call me crazy. I don't know. But it is what it is. Bailey says, what about notch details? Any theory behind where you put them on access panels like these? Very good question. And yes, we're not done with this thing. Far from it, dude. Far from it. So for access panels, again, great question, Bailey. What they simulate are latches. If you look at the 1-to-1 scale, especially like the original Gundam, obviously it's not there anymore, but if you look back at pictures of it, and for those of you that don't know, I've got a ton of high-res pictures of the 1-to-1 Gundam from 2016 when I went to Japan. They're on my Facebook page and then also on my website under articles. You can see all of them there. I took a bunch of them. And you'll see the latches, the actual latches that the folks, the skilled artists over at Bandai came up with for the big armor, you know, pieces, you know, that basically lock those pieces onto the frame and everything. And it's really, really impressive. And you can see kind of what notches simulate. So that's kind of what we're going for when we put in notches. We're looking to associate whatever it is with latching a piece of armor onto the frame. So now for something like this particular piece here, what I am going to do actually is put the cap back on my my 0.15 chisel discipline, and then I'm going to get out the, look at that zoom, that's nuts, man. 0.30. That's a crazy amount of zoom, man. Crazy amount of zoom. All right, but we're gonna get back to 1x digital zoom here. Come on, go back, there you go. And then we're gonna get rid of that ugly box, and we're going to switch back over to what I can see on the stream. So, for this particular piece, what I figure I will do is make a couple of notches, say, here and here, right? There and there. Maybe I should have stayed on that super zoom just to see what you guys are, just to show you guys what I'm doing. Let's switch back to that, hell. Might as well, right? Get that ugly box in, get that 5x zoom going there. Let's center this on this box because there's not a lot of wiggle room. So that's kind of what I mean. You can see those pencil lines there. That's what I would do for notches for basically the panel latches, right? So essentially what I'm kind of theorizing is that these two notches would lock this big panel into place. And it would basically lock it with this panel, and it would lock it down to the frame, the inner frame. These outside panels here are pretty much permanent because you know, maintenance workers usually don't have to get in on those sides. I don't know, I'm just making shit up as I go along. But that's what I'm kind of, you know, that's my train of thought, really, right? So put two here, and then, you know, down here is kind of open. You know, this is the Wild Wild West down here, guys. We can get crazy and just do, you know, just kind of wacky things down here. But up here, that's where your super technical stuff is. So we're going to put some notches in here first before we get into that crazy wacky stuff, and then we're going to get in. We're going to move on to that crazy wacky stuff, right? So let's catch up with the chat. So let's see. Silver Maverick can't learn and improve if someone always does it for you. Damn, that's insightful. Good call, Ricardo. That's very I like that. I might have to use that. That's really good. That's really good. So guys, if you're watching on Twitch, you know, Ricardo said on the YouTube chat, you can't learn and improve if someone always does it for you. And that's an awesome bit of philosophy, I guess. And what he's referring to is the hyper detail kits, the supernovas, the mechanicore kits, those types of things where they just pack in the detail and everything. And I really, I like those kits for their artistry and what they are and their form, and the form language that they use and the kind of flow of the model and everything and the aesthetics of it. I appreciate that that level of talent that it takes to go into that. But as kind of an artist myself, I like to create my own pieces, right? So that's why I'm going through the trouble of detailing the Jesta. That's why I'm going through converting the GM Sniper 2 to a GM Spartan. That's why I created the Ozymandias. That's why I spent 4 years working on the Hummingbird, is because I want something that I can call my own, and that is essentially unique to me, that no one else in the world has, right? Call it selfish, call it what you will, but I just want something unique. I want something that is mine, that I can just call my own. So by working on those kits, it is a little bit harder to craft your own skill set, so to speak. Now, mind you, you can remix those shapes, those forms, and things like that. You can cut off detail, fill in panel lines or notches or anything that they did, and then create your own, obviously. There's, something to be said about that. But I guess personal preference, just me, I'd rather start with a really blank canvas, a la the Jesta here, which is super blank, and just really kind of bring it into my own styling, So that's a good thought there, Ricardo. I like that a lot, man. I like that a lot. Good call. Good call. Kenneth Sim says Supernova kits had thick panel lines. Kind of odd. Yeah, and I think that comes down to the limitation of their molding process. I think what it really comes down to is the limitation of their artists working on the molds. You look at Bandai, and if you've seen that Bandai factory video that has been around for a few years, and it's got millions of views and everything, and it's super interesting, you can see the level of artistry and refinement that the Bandai mold people, the people actually working on the steel molds, the care and the detail that they put into making those molds, it shows you why Bandai's plastic models are so kind of ahead of everyone else in most respects. Not all, but in most respects. You look at something like, let's see. Well, actually, let's take a look at the top. I mean, that's not going to focus. So let's get back to 1X. There she is. Okay. So just this detail right here. Now, you may think, and let's get rid of that ugly box because that's just throwing me off. I can't deal. All right. So obviously, this is just a flat surface, right? Simple in most terms. But there are multiple levels of flatness here, right? So when a person, when the technician or mechanic or artist or whatever they call them that actually work on the molds and, start to carve out that detail and everything, they actually have to go in and carve this to be flat. Sure, there are probably some 3D CNC mills, things of that nature to assist in the process, but when it comes down to brass tacks, a machine is not going to get into the very intricate details and the smoothness and the tight tolerances that the human eye can kind of master. And then the folks that work on those molds are just
absolute masters in their field too. So, yeah, just the mold making and everything, man, is so much on a higher level when it comes to Bandai. So I think, you know, the thick panel lines on Supernova is just it's just a limitation in their mold makers, I think, and the technology that goes into those molds. So they can only get those teeny tiny little panel lines so thin. So just a thought. Just a thought. We're going to put that off the side. We're going to reel it back in. We're going to go back to work on this this upper arm sleeve right here, this little guy. All right, so what we need to do is we're going to actually, well, maybe, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to reach in our, where's our scrap box of Dymo tape? Here it is. We're going to look for kind of a nice thick little little piece here. And this one, I think, right here looks to be a winner. Let's see what that looks like right here. Bingo. It's exactly what we want. That looks about 4 millimeter. Let's measure that just to be on the safe side. I like exact measurements. Yeah, it's about 4.5. Zoom. Yeah. See that? That's about 4.5 millimeter. Just under 5 mil. So there we go. Okay. I don't know, man. Ace Schultz Berkana suggested that they might be 3D printed. You know, possible, but the production capabilities of 3D printers are somewhat limited at this point. Usually 3D printers in today's standards are used for rapid prototyping and things of that nature, not necessarily production. Mind you, there are some production level printers, but they're pretty damned expensive, and I don't know if Supernova is a large enough company to be able to afford something along those lines. So I don't know, man. I think that personally, with 3D printing also too, you have to think about would drive up the cost like crazy, because you have to take the time and to not only print those, that obviously is going to take manpower and it's going to take labor. What happens when a print fails, which does happen quite often in the 3D printing world, and just measuring the gap between the sides here, and we're looking at about 2 millimeters. I'll get back to what I was saying here in just a second. And that's looking pretty good. Just trying to get it, make sure it's parallel for these notches here. That bottom is just a little off center. But now I think we're looking good. Yeah, so what I was saying, 3D printing, 3D printers are a bit, they're obviously a more expensive technology in terms of cost to run and things of that nature. I mean, because, you know, the cost of the resin, the liquid resin that, especially if they're using SLA printers, it's not cheap. Extruded printers don't have great quality, at least at this point. You see the striations in those prints and everything too. So I don't know, man. I think they're, if I was a betting guy, I'd bet that they were injection molded. That's just my 2 cents. Chain KO says, "What's up, dude? What's going on, Chain KO? Thank you for watching. Appreciate it." Ace Schultz says, "I mean, if I didn't see a guy 3D print Warhammer, but the only reason I think this is because the underside of the pieces look like 3D printing. But who knows? All sorts of logistics are at play." Good. That, you know what? Very good observation. That very, very good observation. And if you look at some of the insides of Bandai pieces, you're going to see the same thing. Now, older pieces, I mean. Let me see if I can find one of the older pieces here. Because what you're essentially seeing is one of the mold people, the technicians that work on the mold, basically they're being lazy. They're not polishing the inside of that piece. So yeah, so you are seeing some kind of rapid prototyping, basically the leftover shit from 3D printing. You can see it a little bit. It's not the greatest on that, so I'm not going to use that as an example. But there are definitely pieces when it comes to Bandai plastic that you're going to see that on the inside. You're going to see kind of that stepped look to it, and that's just mold. The mold makers being just lazy and not polishing the inside of that, because I mean they figure, hey, you know, no one's ever going to see it anyway, so why bother with it? Which to a point I agree, but quality is everything. You know what I mean? Quality is everything. So, all right, back to cutting these notches. Let's get this going here. So we're gonna get our 0.30 on. Set that off to the side. Let's do a time check. It's almost 12 midnight. We started late, so let's keep going late. So don't want to shortchange you guys, even though you're not paying for this, bastards. Let's get some notches in on this thing. We're just going to drag out maybe, I don't know, 1.5 millimeters of notch on both sides of this tape. That's going to cause them to be parallel. It's cause them to be straight with each other, perpendicular to the existing panel lines that we're pulling them to. You know, all that good stuff that you use Dymo tape for. All right, blow out the gunk off that one here. Whoop! Just blew out the side there, so we're gonna have to sand that out a little bit. And that happens. So what I did is to, I said I blew out the side. So what I did was I went scribed past that panel line, which is unfortunate because that scratches the surface of the piece. You can see kind of right here where I blew past that panel line. Not a big deal because it's not deep, because it's just one pass. Not a big deal, right? So we can sand that out. We can wet sand that and buff it out, and it'll look perfectly fine. So not a huge deal, but more of an annoyance. Just need to be careful. The big thing when pulling notches like this is to make sure they're of equal length, right? And with notches, you can get a lot of plastic into the panel line that you're pulling the notches to, and that can sometimes be a super pain in the ass because it gunks up the panel line. And what it also does is it stops the chisel from going all the way to the end of what you're trying to scribe, obviously. So that puts an uneven amount of pressure on the scribe itself. So what you're going to find is that one side of the scribe is deeper than the other. You're going to have kind of like a pit, if you will. So that's why, you know, get the notch established first, and then peel the tape off like we just did. And then we're going to go back, clean out that gunk from the panel line. We're going to pull out our 0.15 again, and we're going to go through that, clear out that junk, and then we're going to clean these notches up. And then obviously we're going to sand sand the surface a little bit because we screwed the pooch on that first notch a little bit. Not a big deal. It happens, you know. It wouldn't be the first time, wouldn't be the last time that I've done that. Okay. Now we can just, as we go, even this out and clear out that gunk that gets trapped in that panel line, just the shavings from the notch, and clean that up as we go along. So I went a little deep on that second one, well, I should say a little longer than the first notch. So I'm going to have to extend this first notch to match the overall length of that second one here. And let's see. That looks pretty good. Let's get these from the opposite direction here. I don't know if you guys are probably seeing the back of my head. I apologize if you are. But I need to see what the hell I'm doing. I'll show you just a second what it looked like. All right, so let's clean out the gunk from these notches here. Get your old toothbrush, and man, an old toothbrush when it comes to modeling is man, really useful for wiping away the dust and everything. It's also really useful for taking the edges of your scribe lines and just kind of buffing those down, so to speak, because when you scribe lines, there's just going to be this little bit of microplastic that you know, just kind of shoots up on the side, and you can easily get rid of that with sanding and all that, but just going over it with just a toothbrush initially will help knock a lot of that off. It might not knock all of it off, but it'll get a good amount of that kind of flash off of the edges of your scribes. All right, let's clean that out one last time, and then we'll get you super zoomed in and see what it looks like. All right, so we're gonna position it. I think that's where the zoom box is. Let's get that super zoom going. Look at that, in the box. And there she is. Let's get it a little bit more centered there for you guys. And there it is. There you go. That is what it should look like. So I think it looks pretty good, yeah? I like it. Now still, we're going to still work on this. We're going to get down to kind of the bottom side of this, you know, where the joint is, like, you know, the bending joint. So we're working on this part right here, essentially, on the arm, right? So we've got the stuff around the top pivoting joint. We've got all that done. This super mechanical looking stuff here. And they're just really simple straight lines, you know, at 90-degree angles. Nothing crazy, nothing, you know, nutty looking. This is very simple, very plain Jane, very vanilla. But it's mechanical looking, because that's what a mechanical aesthetic looks like, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit more artistic, a little bit more creative down at the bottom here, where we can, you know, pull off some interesting stuff. And mind you, nothing stupid, just something a little bit out of the ordinary. So let's get this zoomed back out to a normal zoom. Let's get rid of that box. Excuse me. All right, so let's real quick mock this up here. Okay. Is there an orientation to this? I forget. No. Okay. So either way, it can be front or back. So not a big deal. So we're going to call that the front. So that's basically what it's going to look like. Zoom in, camera. Come on. Focus. That's what it's going to look like on that arm piece. So you got your really interesting, you know, kind of gearing and details here in the bending joint of the arm, right? Excuse me. So we've got some room here to get a little artistic. You know, maybe take some creative license. So we're gonna pull the sleeve off here, yank that buddy off of there, and what I think I might do, I think I might go asymmetric. At least asymmetric on the arm. What we'll do is go overall symmetric when it comes to both arms, but on this arm, similar to what I did here on the leg, you can see that I've got just this one notch on the side here, right? Looking at the other side of the leg, you've got the mirror of it, right? So that's now become symmetrical overall, but asymmetrical on the leg itself. And I think that's what we're going to play off of here with this piece too. So what I like to do, kind of similar to that, and we're gonna kind of keep that same aesthetic. So first and foremost, chisel discipline. Always chisel discipline. Pop the covers on these bad boys because they are expensive. Put those off to the side. We're going to get a 0.5 millimeter. We're going to go a little bit bigger with this one. Let's see. There she is. 0.5 millimeter. So that's what we're going to be using for this this notch, and it's going to be a floating notch, right? So it's going to look, it's going to give that kind of heavier feel, that armor feel, right? Balian Bracana says, looks great. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. That's very, very cool of you. Very good, very good. So what we're going to do is get the let's get a little sandpaper action going here. Let's smooth this out because it's a little too smooth for me. We're going to rough this up just a little bit, just so I can make it easier to mark on here with a pencil so you guys can see a little bit better. So we're just going to, maybe on camera would be better. So we're just going to get a little sanding action going on here. You're just going to wipe that away. Try to clear off that dust with your old toothbrush here. And so now you've got, you know, a little bit of a flatter surface there. Now it's easier to draw on, right? Focus. There we go. And what I think I'm going to do is put just kind of a floating notch. I'm going to do it horizontally. Just kind of like this. Leave that out there. That'll focus. Just like that. Right? I think that'll look pretty cool. Asymmetric, but then we're going to mirror it on the other arm. So then it will be overall symmetric. I like it. That's what I'm going with. Can't convince me otherwise. All right? So that's what I'm going with. Now, the big question is, how do we mock this up? How do we measure it out with Dymo tape? So what I'm going to do is dig into the scrap box, and let's get some guide tape out of here. Right here, this guy looks good. I think this is probably about 1.5 millimeter, maybe. And I've got a lot of strips of these because when I cut other sizes of strip, I usually am left over with pieces roughly this size, or maybe even exactly this size. Let's measure it and see what this looks like. I'm thinking it's 1.5. No, it's 1 millimeter. Cool. Okay, that's perfect actually. So that's what we want. We want 1 millimeter. So we're going to line this up. We're going to cut the amount that we need, just like that. And then let's put this back in the scrap bin. Save it for later, because you never know when you're going to need it, just like that. And let's peel this backing tape off here, and we'll get this applied here. Okay. Set that off there. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to, there's obviously a bevel right here. And I'm going to put the one side of the tape right on that bevel. And that's going to be our line of demarcation, if you will. That's what we're measuring off of, since it's the same on both sides. Alright, let's make sure that's nice and straight. Yep, perfect. Cool. Okay, so now we've got a nice, even horizontal line that we can scribe off of with the Dymo tape. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to eyeball this, and we're going to go probably about 1 millimeter from that panel line on the side, maybe a little bit more. We're just starting off slow. Let the chisel do the work. And I'm pulling out a line, or a notch, I should say, probably about 3 millimeter, 3.5 millimeter. And like I said, I'm just eyeballing at this right now, guys. I'm just getting the initial shape cut into this. And once that's done, then we can go back and really clean this up and make it square, make it smooth, make it look really, really good. So if you haven't seen me pull a notch like this before, like a floating notch, I'll start on one side, get that side cleaned up, blocked in, looking good. Then I'll flip it around and do the same thing from the opposite side of the floating notch. Now, if this is butting up to a panel line, it's not going to really make much difference because you have that stopping point. With a floating notch, with it being out, just kind of floating on the panel, you don't have that natural end point. So you need to make sure that both sides of that panel or that notch are clean, straight, and very square on the end. So that's kind of what I'm working towards right now, is just basically blocking out both sides of this notch, this floating notch here. Just going back and just kind of really just making that one side just super cut in, super boxy, very straight. And I think we're almost ready to pull this Dymo tape off here. Okay. Yep. All right, so we're going to get rid of this Dymo tape. We're going to throw that in the trash. And let's see what our initial scribe looks like. And that looks really, so far, really, really good. You can see a little bit of the pencil line underneath of that. And I'll zoom in. I'll do the super zoom thing here in a minute. But I want to get this cleaned up first and get it evened out, because there's there's that natural pit in the middle from the crossover from both sides when you're trying to block out the sides. So I'm just trying to even out the bottom of this, making it nice and smooth, making it straight, the whole nine. Okay. So far, this is going perfectly as planned. So fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. I think we got this, though. I think we got this. All right. Just double check we're not going through or anything. No light leak on the back, so it looks like our plastic thickness is good. Because one thing about scribing and cutting in notches and things like that, you do want to be careful that you don't scribe through the plastic, because that's happened many times to me before. I thought I had more, I guess, meat to play with, but sometimes I'll just go right through the plastic, and then once that happens, you got this hole, and then you got to back it with like a piece of styrene or something like that. So you do want to try to avoid that, obviously. And so that's what I checked here, and you can do that. It's really simple to do. If you hold this up to a light and you can see kind of a lighter shade in the piece, then you know that plastic is getting really, really thin. But if you can't see anything, then you're good to go. Simple as that. Okay, we are almost done with this floating notch. I'm just basically smoothing out the bottom here, trying to get it, you know, nice and smooth and flat and everything like that. Kind of rhymed there. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so last thing we're going to do with this thing is to do a bit of wet sanding. All right, wait a minute, bear with me. I got to reach for my little tub of water here. There we go. It was off to the other side. All right, let's get some wet sandpaper in here. We got the coarse stuff here. We're going to start with that first just to level everything out, make it look nice and neat. The back of my hand. Oh, that's a good look, right? All right, so wet sanding. We're basically just flattening the surface out, making it really nice and smooth, getting rid of the debris, getting rid of any raised micro edges or anything like that, like I talked about before, and just making this a nice, even, smooth surface. So as you can see, I kind of switch it up. I kind of go up and down, back and forth, and then I do circles, and you know, that's just basically to avoid any sanding marks that kind of stay in there. All right, so that's looking good. That's nice and smoothed out now. Now we're going to go for finishing. This is, what is this? This is, to me, this is 1500 grit. So this is going to end up really, really super, super smooth after this piece. And we just need to do, you know, we just need to sand it just a little bit. And I just like to go in circles, just kind of randomly, up and down. And you can start to feel when it starts to get really, really smooth. That, I think that is all she wrote. Let's see. Yeah. That looks nice. All right, let's get the super zoom going. What do you say? Let's put the sandpaper away. Let's put our little tub of water over here out of the way. Keep him out of trouble. Yeah, Bailey, that's a good call too. So what Bailey said over on YouTube, he said knife guys would call that micro edge created by the chisel the burr, similar to when sharpening a blade on a whetstone. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you can call it kind of whatever you want, honestly, but yeah, that's an accurate, excuse me, accurate description of what you're seeing. You are essentially seeing a burr. So, all right, super zoom time. Is it in the box? It's in the box. Look at that. 5x. Boom. Look at that. That looks pretty good. I can see some junk still in the bottom here of that floating notch. Let me just clear that out because that's super annoying for me. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Look at him. Burkana Ace Schultz over on YouTube, he says, do you sand before priming so the primer sticks better? No, that's not why I sand. Why I sand is to make the surface smoother. The primer that I use, Mr. Surfacer, is going to stick no matter what, in most cases, as long as you have a clean surface. So it doesn't really need additional sanding. What you want is a nice smooth surface because that's going to essentially be your foundation for your paint. So if your plastic is smooth, then your primer is going to be smooth. If your primer is smooth, your paint's going to be smooth, so on and so forth, all the way to your final top coat. and you just need to make sure that every step of the way that it's smooth. If your foundation's not, not correct and not finished properly, the chances of you having a really nicely smooth finished paint job just kind of get that much more difficult. It can be done, but I mean, why work against yourself, So that's why I sand, is just to smooth everything out. So I think that looks pretty damn good. What do you guys think? Let's go 10x. What's that look like? Whoa! See, that's not even focused now. But you can see a face, or at least I can see a face. That little guy's happy, which makes me happy. So there we go. Good stuff. All right. Let's see. What's the chime check? 12:18. Man, we're cutting it. We're cutting it. That's a good place to stop tonight, because that little piece, man, that looks good, right? That's mechanical looking. Let's mock it up on the arm. Let's take a look and see what that looks like on the arm piece. Yeah, look at that. You got your nice gearing. Let's get rid of that ugly box. Yeah, so that's gonna look really, really cool. Yeah, and that's going to be, obviously, that's going to be mirrored on the other arm piece, and that's going to look really, really quite nice and mechanical looking. Now that the technicians have an access panel from to get into the mechanics behind the upper arm. So there we go. Looks good, right? I like it. I'm going with that. Sticking with it. Cool. All right. So let's switch back to one camera. Let's wrap this puppy up. I know we didn't go as long tonight, since because we started off late with some the technical difficulties and everything, and that's always frustrating for me. But it is what it is, man. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? So, all right, guys. So I really like the progress. I really do. I think we did a good little bit of work tonight. Nothing crazy, nothing kooky, nothing crazy or insane. So with that being said, man, if you saw any of these tools on here, and if you wanted to pick up any of those tools, check the link below, the Amazon link. They're all sourced. Most of them are on Prime, as many as I could source on Prime as I could. There's a lot of good books in there as well. Take a look at those. There's an amazing amount of inspiration in those books that I've sourced for you guys. So keep checking that link. I'm going to constantly be adding stuff to those, and that will kind of be your one-stop shop for things, hopefully. And if you like the OG Child of Mecha shirt like I do, man, go pick one up. That would be cool. I know a few people out in the world have them, and I know William Wilms, actually, when he went to Japan, he wore it in front of the 1-to-1 unicorn. So that was super cool for me. That was awesome, awesome to see. Child of Mecha made it over there. That was good. I like that. Bailey says you can also get some of the BMC chisels from USA Gundam Store. That's true. Yeah, stock. He says, but they are sold out of most. Yeah, the stock levels of BMCs are tough, because even Japanese stores have a hard time keeping those things in stock. So it's even harder for domestic companies to keep those in stock. But yeah, USA Gundam Store is a good one. Volks USA, VOLKS USA, their store carries them, along with some other really cool Japanese hard to find paints and tools and things like that. I think they're located based out of maybe Seattle, if I'm remembering correctly. So check out them too. But USA Gundam Store is definitely a great source to find most of the things that you would need, model kits and tools and stuff like that too. But so check all those links out. Those are all down there. And if you want to see those really cool up close pictures of the 1:1 scale RX-78, the old statue, those are on my website. Those are on my Facebook. Really, really cool. Bailey says California. I thought yeah, I bought from them before, and it said they came from. It was delivered from Washington State. So I don't know. It could be California. I don't know. Volks is where I got the Tamiya Quick Type epoxy. Yeah, they have that there. They definitely have that there. Oh yeah, Berkana, thank you for reminding me. If anyone needs BMC while it's out, while everything else is out, he can get you BMC chisels. He's got sources, distributors, things like that. Check him out. It's a Gundam Sales on Facebook. So Berkana Tier, very reputable, very dependable. Great customer service, the whole 9 yards. So check them out. Very, very good stuff there. Last but not least, man, donate to the Gunpla Talk fundraiser. So if you haven't already, just go do it. You can donate $1. You know, it's for a good cause. You can win this guy. You can win this guy here. Perfect grade Astray red frame. We're going to probably add some more prizes to the mix in the very near future, so keep an eye out for that. Man, that's all I got, man. Tough night tonight. I don't know why. I think it was the technical difficulties and the fact that I'm just dog-ass tired. So I apologize, guys. But hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you're still entertained. Hopefully you learned something about, scribing and mechanics and things like that. And, we had some good conversations and stuff too. So, all right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. We'll see you on Friday for the last stream of the week, the last scheduled stream of the week. Kyle, thank you for watching, buddy. You're quiet, but you're still there. I like that. That's good. So until Friday, let's see what. Jeffrey Chaucer, I love that. That's awesome, dude. He says it's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. Insightful. And a good way to end the stream. There you go. Thank you, Jeffrey Chaucer, over on Twitch. Guys, until Friday, we will see you then. My name is Tim, the one and only child of Mecha. Good night.